Hey everybody, how's it going? Rich from Elk Endeavors here. Hey, today I wanted to talk to you about the idea of being a workaholic. Now, I wanted, just before I get started, please listen to my video, subscribe to the channel if you like what I have to say, follow me, or drop me a comment if you have any questions about what I say, or if you want to interact with me in terms of like what content I put out. But today I thought it'd be fun, well, not fun, but just to talk through what it's like being a workaholic, because I think that people don't really believe that it's a real thing. And I don't know that, I don't know that it really, it's certainly not, I don't think a diagnosable thing, but it is a problem, right? And I think many people really, I don't want to say suffer from it, but like have it. And what I mean by this, what I mean is that when you're a workaholic, you sort of replace work with other work. And so when I talk about myself, I don't identify as a workaholic. I'm very aware of the fact that I work a lot. And one of the things that, as I've thought through this, one of the things that really sort of strikes me is that my entire life, through like after high school, and maybe like junior year in college, I have been like going at it, trying to survive and trying to get what I need to taken care of. And so like the reason is like in college, I was a biology major, but I also had an ROTC scholarship, so I was in the Army. And ultimately I didn't do well with the biology major, so I had to change to psychology. And what happened is that I changed going into my junior year. So I basically had to do my entire major in 2 years. And that's why like I had to get all these credits in order to graduate on time in 4 years. And that was in order to keep my scholarship. And so that was really like, I was really, really huffing and puffing by the end of college. And then I went into the Army. And so I think I graduated, and then a week later, I reported to Fort Bragg to be in the Army, and start serving my country. And so that was, and then when you're in the Army, it's a 24/7 job. Like there is no off duty, and unless you're on vacation, and even then, like you can get called back in, right? So I was, there were times when it was like, okay, I have to be at work at 5:30, and that was a 45-minute drive for me. So I was getting up at 4:30. That was a normal thing for me. And then I was also a young, single lieutenant. So I was going to bed at like 11 or 12 at night. So I wasn't getting much sleep. And then, we would stay as officers, we would stay past when the soldiers stayed till. And it was just difficult, right? And that was 4 years. And then I went into cycling, and I was a bike tour director, and you would think that was more, it was more relaxing, and it kind of was, but it was also very, it was a lot of work, right? And so I went in phases where you would, in the wintertime, there wasn't much to do, except you're just sort of like ramping up for the summer. But then once like April came around, then you're like finalizing things, and you're looking at roads and getting everything ready for the summer, because you have 100 cyclists that are coming to like follow you across the country, and you have to get them, right? So there's like there's 9 weeks that you have to plan, and so we would work from, we'd start working at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and we would work till like 9 o'clock at night, and then we go have a beer, and then we go back and sleep, and then do it all over again. And so that was a workaholic thing. And my point is that like all these things are like 24/7 jobs. And then I became a teacher, and that was, that is a 24/7 job. Like I know people don't think that is, but like education is the hardest thing that I've ever done. I was in the Army, I did Cycle America. Being a teacher is the hardest thing I've ever done. And that's something that, it's just gone through, right? And so my life hasn't lent itself to not being a workaholic. The other thing that I've struggled with is that I've had to play catch up, right? So my psychology, I wasn't a psych major and I didn't read. So like I like I didn't read out of habit. So as a psych major, like I had to read stuff. And so I was constantly like playing catch up with that. And then in the army, I was concerned about like doing well and making sure that I understood all the technology. So that was like trying to read and get caught up with that. And then I became an English teacher, but I was terrible in English in high school. So I didn't know any of the literature. Like I was reading books all the time, and I was just always trying to catch up. And then I got into grad school. So I was going into grad school. I was teaching, grading. I was directing plays, and I was going to grad school. And so it was just this constant cycle. And so I finished my first master's degree. And then I was like, okay, I'll take a break. So then I decided to take a break, but then I didn't take a break. I went into a second master's degree, and that was 2 years. And then I decided to take a break, but then I didn't take a break. And then I went into a doctoral program at the University of Pennsylvania. So, this constant, besides being a teacher and how difficult that is, but then throw in there like a doctoral program at the University of Pennsylvania, and it was a recipe for disaster, right? And it wasn't. Like I did fine and I did it, but I started realizing, and my wife and I talked about, like, when I finally finished my doctorate, that I was not going to replace. So what I was finding is I was replacing, like, if I had any type of break, and if I felt like I was going to have any type of rest, it seemed like, and the pattern became like, okay, well, Rich is going to finish his, like, my first master's degree. I finished a master's degree, and then like I was like, okay, well, I'm done school for a while, and if not for good. And then it was like, well, there's this other master's degree, so like I just went into it. So I replaced one with the other. And oh, by the way, I've had 3 kids in the middle of all this, besides getting to work, right? But besides getting married, like I had 3 kids in the middle of all this, right? And then when I finished my second master's degree, I had already decided that I wanted to go to Penn for my doctorate. So that was like, it was automatically replaced. And so we really started understanding that I was replacing things when I finished my second master's degree, because I replaced that time with the doctoral program. And so when I got out of the master's degree, when I got out of my doctoral program, I was like, no more replacing, no more, like I'm done. I'm here focused on the kids. Like this is it. I had said to myself, like, by the time my daughter's 8, I want to be done with my doctoral program by the time my daughter's 8. And I made it by a month. And that was like, and the 8 years old thing was like, okay, well, that's when she's going to be like if she's in sports or she's in concerts or she's in whatever she gets involved in, she'll be in like concerts or games and stuff like that. And I figured I wanted to get done by that time. And I did, and it was great. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I got done. And then I decided, I was like, I'm not replacing, like, we were very conscious of it. We weren't replacing anything. And so I was just gonna not be in the doctoral program anymore and just be done. And what happened was, and this is where the affiliate marketing comes in, right? So I started driving for Uber. And it wasn't out of boredom, and it was more of out of like, okay, I need a little extra money. And then, because I had to pay off my, the doctoral program. And then it was like, well, that wasn't working, and I had the whole, like, a couple of epiphany stories that I had, and then I decided that I was going to, I was looking online. I was trying to figure out how to make money online, and that's when I found the 4% Success Challenge. And while that's been awesome, and that's been like really, my mindset is completely different. Ultimately, what I did was replace the doctoral program with the affiliate marketing business. So I've like started a side business that I do after work, completely after the kids go to bed. My kids are outside right now playing, and I just got home from a long day at a farm. And so I wore my, I don't know if you can see, but I've got a pig on a tractor. I bought this at the Willie Nelson show a couple weeks ago because it was so cold. But anyway, my kids are outside, like I needed to come in and take a break, so I'm like, I'm in here, I just knock out this video. But like I've replaced, ultimately, like I've replaced the doctoral program with the affiliate marketing, but I'm not doing it like while the kids are, for the most part, I'm not doing it while the kids are awake or my wife is awake or whatever. So it's a whole other like type of thing, but I'm still replacing. And that's where the workaholic, like this idea of being a workaholic, like I don't know whether I'm addicted to the like the activity, or if like I struggle with not having, like, I can be bored. Like I'm never bored. I don't even know if I could understand boredom. But like, and it's not like I don't want to say I suffer, but it's a real thing. Like it's a thing that like we have had to discuss. My wife and I, my kids, we've had to really discuss and like come to terms with, and think about like, okay, how is it, like how am I going to work this? Because I can't, like, I clearly am not able to just stop. And so that's what I really wanted to talk about today. And the reason I wanted to talk about it was because I want you to be mindful of what you're, the things that you're taking on, right? So, I've talked about over the last couple of days, I've talked about like a side business versus a side hustle. And a side hustle is not like, I wouldn't be replacing anything, or I wouldn't be thinking of myself as a workaholic if I was in a side hustle, but I also wouldn't be as successful as I'm gonna be and as I am as an affiliate entrepreneur. A side business is a replacement type thing for my doctorate, and is something that like shows me that I can't like not have something like really growing. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. So I hope you understand what I'm talking about. If you have any questions, replies, please drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you, if you hear your comments. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow, and I hope you have a great Saturday. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.